Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to everybody. Shout out to the LSN Mod Squad. It is your boy Lewis coming right back at you once again with another live stream. Back again with yet another video. Make sure you guys do these three things as you come in. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you guys are sharing this on your social media outlets, and make sure that you are, continuing to share the streams. Truly appreciate it, and especially on your Reddit. I know it's been a couple of days. Been really busy, and so just want to let you know. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So once again, man, welcome back to the stream. Had to pause a little bit and let me know who was in the chat. How was everybody doing? Hope everybody is doing well. Looks like G Money is the first one, and he says, "Hey, how you doing? I'm doing all right. How's everything with you? Just been a little busy. How's everything with you? Hope everything is good with you." And shout out to Daniel Barry, man. He says, "What is up, Lewis the Goat?" Appreciate it, Daniel. Let me ask you a question, Daniel. I know you're a St. Louis fan, and I don't know if you know that. I don't know if you know this. I wanted to ask you, how long have you been following the St. Louis Cardinals? I was thinking of doing a video on them. Shout out to Joel Hayward in the building. What is up? What is up, Joel? Keep smashing. Make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe as well. Today we're doing greatest playoff team against greatest team of all time, because there's been a little bit of a discussion with some of these teams that have had historic playoff runs and then historic regular seasons. And we're going to try to figure out here on the panel, I should say on the live stream, which team is the greatest of all time compared to greatest playoff team. Now, I think, let me ask you a question. Shout out to Ron in the building. What is good, my man? What is good? Keep smashing the like and keep hitting the subscribe. Appreciate it. We got 2 people watching. We got 4 people watching. We got 9 likes already. Let's get the likes up. Let's continue to get the views up as well. Had a really busy week. Had a really busy weekend, guys. So that's why you didn't see me for the last couple of days. Um, celebrating a birthday and stuff like that. So due to that, kind of took off a little bit. Just a couple of days off of YouTube. But now I'm back and ready to bring the heat for you guys, man. Ready to bring the heat. So like I said, hope everybody is doing great. About to get started on the video. And I wanted to start off by talking about the 2001 Los Angeles Lakers, because they have kind of been it's kind of been the talk. And I've been looking at some of these Laker videos uh, recently in the last few days, and people have been saying that they feel like that this is the greatest team of all time because of the incredible playoff run that they had. Very interesting, man. Very interesting. Some interesting stuff here. And shout out to Tomoko. Uh, I put a like on your video, Tomoko. It's just I haven't. Okay, you said a couple of years. Okay, that's cool. Shout out to Tomoko for being the 8th like. Uh, and yeah, I wanted to do a video on the St. Louis Cardinals of 2004. I thought that was a special team that didn't end up winning a World Series, but you said for the last couple of years. But I was going to touch up on St. Louis, so just to give up a little bit of St. Louis history in that old Busch Stadium. So I'm definitely going to hit a future video on that. But again, everybody, as you guys can see, so we're talking about the 2001 Los Angeles Lakers. Now, when we look at the regular season, It's funny because they were projected to win 51 wins. This is with Shaq and Kobe, mind you, and their team. They were a little bit different because Glenn Rice was no longer on the team. AC Green had retired. John Sally had retired. They sent Travis Knight and Glenn Rice to the Knicks. Wait, I believe that was the case. Or yeah, I believe that's what happened. I don't remember if Rice was a free agent or he was or I think he signed with the Knicks. But anyway, so the Lakers were a different team. They brought in Isaiah Ryder. If you look at the roster, they had obviously Kobe, Derek Fisher, Greg Foster, Rick Fox, Devin George, Horace Grant, Ron Harper, Robert Ory, Tyronn Lue, Mark Manson, who was a rookie that year. Medvedenko also was a rookie. Shaq, Mike Herberthy, Isaiah Ryder, and Brian Shaw. Excuse me. So that's the Lakers roster. Now let's look at the stats of the Lakers that year. They won 56 games under head coach Phil Jackson, so they ended up winning the division. They honestly, Sacramento should have won the division that year, but they kind of screwed up. And the Lakers won their last 8 regular season games. So if we look at the points per game, the Lakers were third in the league in scoring, 100.6 points per game. That was third in the league. Opponents' points, 97 points a game. So their point differential was not that great in the regular season, and I felt like to me, the Lakers were kind of coasting. Uh, you know, they didn't have a great regular season because they only won 56 games. Hey, Emore, haven't seen you in a minute, man. What's good, bro? Shout out to Emore in the building. Haven't seen you in a while, man. He says, "Yo, back in the house, diehard Kings fan." You already know. Oh, he's talking about the 2000 Kings. Yeah, no doubt. Great team. Great team. It was an awesome team. Not one of the greatest, but all right. Getting back to the Lakers, man. Shout out to Emore. Haven't seen him in a long time. Hope everything is good with you, man. I did mention that I actually did a video on Sacramento just the other day. If you go through my archive of videos, you can check it out. But I did a video on the Kings last week, so just make sure to go watch that, Emore. I mean, if you can. And I will be doing a feature video on Sacramento, by the way. They are fighting for a playoff spot. So I mean, the 2001 team was pretty good too, underrated. You know, yeah, and I get it. It's like it's hard to be on streams like when there's been no NBA basketball. I feel you. But yeah, the NBA is back. It'll be back on July 31st. Quick update, guys, before I continue about the 2001 Lakers. So free agency will be July 18th. The NBA draft will be October 15th. Uh, the rest of the season is going from July 31st to October 12th, and on August 25th will be the NBA draft lottery. So just a couple birth dates. Excuse me, I said birth dates. I mean updates. Shout out to Sports Critic. Appreciate it, man. Again, guys, make sure you hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. We're talking about all-time greatest teams. And again, make sure you guys are sharing this on your social media outlets, man. Continue to spread awareness to the channel. And if you guys can, make sure you guys go subscribe to the Sports Critic. That guy Amir has got great content himself. And just want to say thank you, Amir, for having me as a guest on your channel. It was great. It was a lot of fun with us in the chat. Good to get to know you. And like I said, man, real good dude. Make sure you guys go subscribe to the Sports Critic. You guys got great content. And if you're into PS4, he does a My Career on NBA 2K. Make sure to go check him out. All right, so continuing with the Lakers, yeah, they won 56 games, so it wasn't great. The funny thing about that team is when you look at their stats, they were 23rd in opponents' points per game at 97. It just tells you how much of an error it was defensively in the 2000s. Because if you're 23rd in the league and you give up less than 100 points, you look at today's game and every team averages 100 points. Now, a single team in the league allows below 100 points. So it just tells you the difference of the league. Obviously also with the rule changes. So the Lakers had the second best offense in the league in terms of offensive rating. They were second in the league at 108 points. but they were only 21st in defensive rating at 21st out of 29 teams. They were expected to win 51 games that season. And the Lakers, I believe, before they had their 8-game win streak, they were 48 and 26. So they actually exceeded what was expected because Shaq came into camp out of shape, and he also reported to camp late too. Shaq actually came to camp, I believe, 27 days after the original time he was supposed to come. And I remember I was watching the championship video, and I remember Rick Fox was talking about that in the defensive Shaq, that it was the first time he got to relax and and be a champion. I said, I mean, in one sense, that's true, Rick. But here's the problem. This is why I can't defend Shaq in this aspect. Shaq was the leader of the team, so as a leader, you have to lead by example. And remember what Shaq told Kobe. He said, after we got one, I didn't really have to do as much. And remember, he said he was in his mind he was done. It was just he was challenged to win more titles, but he was done after one championship. This is what Shaq said. This doesn't come from the Louis Sports Network. This came out of Shaq's mouth. He was done after one ring. He was just challenged to win more, and that's when it more motivated Shaq to win more championships. The problem is he came into camp out of shape. Now, as a leader, you can't set that kind of example, despite the fact that in one degree you want to get rest, after putting in so much work and putting so much body. But the thing is also there were a lot of individual goals between Kobe and Shaq. So they kind of coasted through the season, and then there was a lot of controversy between both Kobe and Shaq. And Kobe even said it when they did the sit down together. There was a lot. They were very immature on how to handle it. And as Shaq has said for many years, he has always kept a narrative going to keep the rivalry going. So that just lets you know that Shaq could have nicked it in the butt if he wanted to, but because the media blew it out of proportion, Shaq just ran with it, and that's why. And I'm not saying that there weren't some deep feuds because Kobe and Shaq did not have the best relationship. It was more business than it was you know la di da, but that was their relationship, and they coasted through the season. To be honest with you, it was really more so of can they get themselves together in the playoffs, and they got hot at the right time, right? And shout out to the Bronco fanatic, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, there was some rumbling about that. I appreciate it, Emor. No doubt, man. Continue support. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. Everything is good with you. Everything is good, sports critic. Hope everything's good with you. Shout out to Maze 999 in the building. Any team in the West would have killed the Sixers. It's true because the West was really the NBA Finals that year. Oh yeah, sports critic loves the NBA and he also loves football. Appreciate it, Emor. Appreciate the support. I got a relevant question, my friends. Which team that MJ played for did MJ impress NBA fans more, Bulls or the Wizards? It was obviously the Bulls, man, because that was just prime MJ. Um, so yeah, the Lakers end up not only winning their last 8 regular season games, they go into the playoffs and they beat a 50-win Portland Trailblazers team. They go in and beat a 55-win Sacramento Kings team, a very talented Sacramento Kings team. They sweep them 4-zip. They sweep the Blazers. Then they go up against the number one defense in the league, the number one three-point shooting team in the league, the San Antonio Spurs. And people thought that the Lakers were going to have so many problems in this series because the Lakers, they weren't even that good of a defense. The funny thing is their defense wasn't as good as the 2000 team, but their defense was actually one of the best in NBA history in the postseason. Their win margin, their point differential was crazy. They were winning each of these series by an average of at least close to 14 points per game. That's how dominant the Lakers were in the playoffs. And they went through the gauntlet of the Western Conference. And if you look at Horace Grant, he had to go up against some of the best power forwards in the game at the time. And he really did let himself go, man. And congratulations to Maze, man. Hit 100 subscribers. And I just went to your channel, hit a like on your video. Yo, you're up to 112 now, man. That's awesome. Oh, okay. So Bronco Fanatic, what I'm doing is I'm just talking about the Lakers first, but as you can see right here on the overlay, we have the 96 Bulls, we got the 86 Celtics, Celtics, we got the 87 Lakers, and we got the 83 Sixers. So we're going to talk about that. So that's so I'm gonna get to the other teams in a second. I just want to talk about the Lakers run. Now, what was cool? All right, awesome. All right, so what was cool about them going through the West like that? They ended up sweeping San Antonio, and I've never seen Tim Duncan the way he looked in terms of his face when the Lakers just flat out dominated. And the thing is, the way the Lakers did it, they did it by design. Shaq would dominate at home, Kobe would dominate on the road. The numbers those two put up were crazy. Their 2001 postseason was among the best. And then they went up against the Allen Iverson Philadelphia 76ers. They came into that series with a 19-game winning streak. That's the longest win streak. It was the longest win streak, I believe, in playoff history at that time, uh, if you include the regular season. So they lose game one, and then they win the next four games. So the Lakers finished that regular season all through the playoffs. They won 23 of their last 24 games to win the NBA title. I don't know if you're ever going to see a run like that. I don't know if you're ever going to see a run like that. I didn't put the other team on there, but all right. So the Lakers were definitely dominant. They just didn't have a dominant regular season. So they had an unbelievable playoff season, but they didn't have a great regular season. So this is why I say that the Lakers are arguably the greatest playoff team of all time. But we're going to put that to the test against these other teams right here. Now we're going to go backwards in time. So now, to my right of the screen on the bottom are the 1995-1996 Chicago Bulls. I know G Money was talking. He talked about the roster. He talked about how deep it was, who they had on the roster. Right? You got Scottie Pippen, one of the all-time greats. You got MJ. Obviously, many people consider him the greatest. You have Dennis Rodman, great defender and unbelievable rebounder. The Lakers probably would have ran the table had it not been for Allen Iverson's performance. Give the Sixers credit too. I mean, the Lakers were rusty. It was a close game. But the Sixers got it done. No excuses. The Lakers came back. Oh, and by the way, not only did the Lakers go 15-1, but they're the only team to go undefeated on the road in playoff history. They were 8-0 on the road. It's still an NBA playoff record to this day, and it's been what 19 seasons. And then also consider the fact that they went 7-1 at home. Had they not lost, they would have ran the table, folks. They would have ended the season on a 24-game win streak. That's crazy. That is crazy. That's just crazy. All right, so let me get to the Bulls, but before I do that, let me go back into the chat. May says, my voice, then that's proof I'm the youngest here. But on a different note, what do you think about the Jazz for season games? Same for the Sixers. Are you talking about like what's my like how do I think that they're gonna do in the playoffs? Is that what you're trying to say, or for the rest of the regular season? Like, what are you saying with that? Let me know. Just clarify a little bit for me what you're thinking about that. Again, shout out to everybody in the chat. Like I said, for those who are just coming in, I apologize for not being on for a few days. I was pretty busy doing some things and was celebrating a birthday. It was my sister's birthday yesterday, so that's why I was not on. So, for those who want to know, there it is. And, but now I'm back. I'm coming back with that heat, coming out with more content. So there it is. And like I said, appreciate everybody that took the opportunity to come through. Let me see. Tomoko says Kendo first guy to land a touch wins. I've done Kendo, never did fencing before. I'm just gonna be a little bit biased since I've never done fencing. I go with Kendo. In my opinion, 2001 Lakers were more dominant than the Warriors because they walloped healthy and great teams. May says, how do you think as all time? Let me see. How do you think as all time? In terms of the Sixers and the Jazz all time? Well, the Jazz would be one of the better teams to never win an NBA championship. And we miss you, Lewis, but we're glad you had a great time. Appreciate it, Mr. Moko. I think the Sixers were the best in terms of regular season games. I see. Okay. And thank you for the like count. We're at 13 likes. Thank you, Maze. The Bulls team was pretty dominant. Thank you, Bronco Fanatic. And I'm just going to get to that. Uh, Shout out to the Bronco Fanatic. 96 Bulls. What made them special? Well, let's take a look. The 95-96 Bulls, they won 72 games. This is a returning Michael Jordan. This is a Bulls team that won 72 games. Sorry, they won 72-10. It was the greatest regular season in NBA history at the time. And what was so special about it was they were the first team in NBA history to win 70 games. That's what was so special about that 95-96 team. Jordan wins the MVP. Oh, and by the way, neither Kobe nor Shaq were MVPs that season. It was Allen Iverson in 2001. But getting back to the Bulls, Jordan won the season MVP. He was the All-Star Game MVP. Scottie Pippen and Jordan made All-NBAs. They both made first-team All-NBA defense. I believe Dennis Rodman also was on first-team All-Defense. So you had 3 first-team All-Defensive NBA players, right? And then if you look at their stats, they were the number 1 offensive rated team at 115.2. They led the league in scoring at 105 points per game. They were 3rd in the league in opponents' points at 92.9. So their point differential was 13.7. No, I'm sorry, 12.3. My mistake, 12.3. That was their point differential. The Lakers' point differential was just barely above 2.5. The Bulls had the number 1 defensive rating, 101.8. So they were 3rd in opponents' points, and they were 1st in defensive rating. And they were number 1 in offensive rating and in that. And the funny thing is, they were expected to win 70 games that season. They eclipsed it by 2 more wins at 72. How did they do in the postseason? Easy. They swept the Miami Heat. That team was 42-40. They beat the Knicks in 5. That team won 47 games. They swept the Orlando Magic. That was a 60-win team. And then, ladies and gentlemen, they beat the Sonics in 6 games, and that was a 64-win team. And I'm going to say this again in my personal opinion. The Seattle Supersonics, that 95-96 Seattle Supersonics, once again, ladies and gentlemen, is the most underrated team to never win a championship of all time. In my opinion, the greatest team to never win an NBA championship, the Seattle Supersonics. People sleep on that 95-96 team. It's crazy. Shout out to Karam in the building, man. Shout out to Duality in the building, man. And thanks, Karam, for following me on Twitter. I appreciate that. It's pretty hard. And shout out to Ron. And he says, it's pretty hard to dispute that the numbers that they put up in the playoffs. Absolutely. I mean, that's how dominant that 2001 team were. Uh, it's true. And the crazy part is they beat 260-win teams back-to-back series. And they beat them in the conference finals and the NBA finals, the 2 biggest stages in the playoffs, the conference finals and the NBA finals. That's how special that 95-96 Bulls team was. Now, the Lakers didn't beat any 60-win teams, but that's because in that season in 2001, there was no 60-win team that year. The most wins that the West had, or in the NBA in general, was 58, and that was by San Antonio. And if you look at the standings in the West, it was pretty competitive from seeds 1 through 6. I believe 6 teams. Wait, actually, no. Wait, was it 6 teams? I believe it was 6 or no, it was 7 teams that won 50 games that year. And the Timberwolves, who were the eighth seed in 2001, they won 47. So unless you know, I I just think the fact that the Sonics were better defensive teams in Sacramento than the O2 Kings, they definitely improved their defense, and they proved that they could defend at a high level when they put their minds to it. And I thought that they were good defensively as a team. I thought team defense they were pretty good because they didn't really have, with the exception of Doug Christie, because Doug Christie made a couple of second team defensive teams. So I believe he made two defensive teams. So Doug Christie's no slouch. He's a pretty good defender. But again, shout out to everybody in the chat. Um, and again, shout out to Karan. And this is how that lets you know the Bulls were tough. They beat 260 win teams in their playoff run. And shout out to Troy Ingram. He says Lakers are Shaq and Froby. That's right, man. Gotta love the Froby. That's right. Rest in peace to Froby. And again, guys, make sure to smash the like and hit the subscribe for the Louis Sports Network. So the 95-96 Bulls, yeah, they beat 260 win teams in their playoff run. And check it out. They won 72 games in the regular season, and then they went 87-13 overall. Shout out to Clay Pro. Shout out to Tyree. Tyree says he thinks the 96 Sonics would have lost to the 2001 Lakers. Interesting. Okay. All right. Nothing wrong with that. Um, to be honest with you, I honestly think that they would have because they wouldn't have an answer for Shaq. And the funny thing is, yeah, I mean, it's possible. I would have to really see how they. I would really have to see the style of play that they play, because you know the Sonics they like to run, and the Lakers like to slow it down because they have what you call it um they have since they have Shaq they will be able to slow the game down while the Sonics are going to look to run. But shout out to everybody, and once again, guys, I'm gonna say if you guys want, I always say this as always, you don't have to, but if you would like to, and once again I will put. Let me just go to the PayPal. If you guys would like to donate, you don't have to, but if you want to, I definitely appreciate it. You guys are very special, and you guys have helped me with the channel grow. And no doubt, man. And oh wait, sorry. Actually, let me put this in here since here. Okay, there's my Twitter account. If you guys would like to follow my Twitter. If you do use Twitter, that's there. So you guys can definitely use that. And then also, if you guys would like to donate to the PayPal is there, and my Cash App is already going right through the ticker right there. So if you guys want that, you guys can pretty much do that. And do I have Instagram? Yes, I do. My Instagram is right here. If you can follow me on Instagram as well, here it is. I'm gonna put it on in the chat. Let me just put it in. Just give me 1 second, and I'll put it right here if I do. There is the IG. And once again, shout out to everyone. And like I said, man, you guys are awesome. So getting back to the Bulls, they went 15-3 in the postseason, guys. 15-3, which puts their record at 87-13. So out of 100 games, they won 87 of them. That puts them at a win percentage of 87%. That's unbelievable, which is the best win percentage in NBA history. So that's why I say that the Lakers have a run for their money. And shout out to Clay Pro, man. Wow, Clay Pro. Man, shout out to you, man. With a $50 donation, man. I appreciate it, Clay Pro. Thank you. Shout out to Clay Pro. That dude is a true supporter and a real one. Appreciate that. Really, really appreciate it. Again, it's always by choice. Like I said, no pressure, guys. But Again, shout out to Clay Pro, man. Clay Pro is the man. Appreciate that, Clay Pro. You are the man. Tomoko says, I'd love to donate, but I don't have PayPal. No, it's okay. It's no problem. It's no problem. Putting no pressure on anybody. So it's all it is. But again, I appreciate you even, considering to do it. But that, it's great. I Well, Tyree, not only that's a good point because I was also mentioning about the Lakers team of 2001 that had it not been for not just injuries, but they pretty much coasted throughout that regular season too. And shout out to Bronco Fanatic. He just followed on Instagram. Appreciate that. For real. They could have won 70 games, it's true. And I think that the 2001 Lakers, could give the 96 Bulls a run for their money in terms of greatest team of all time because if you look at the 2002 team, they actually got off to a 16-1 start. So they could have, but it was like again, they were more so of just getting ready for the playoffs because I feel like the last 2 years they kind of coasted through the regular season, knowing that they could be much more dominant in the playoffs. But yeah, the Bulls have the greatest win percentage in NBA history, 87%, y'all. And that's the Chicago Bulls. And then we're just gonna keep on going. Clay Pro says we need more videos. It's a release. Wait, what do you mean? All right, man. Like I said, hope you guys are doing great, man. Shout out to Clay Pro, man. Appreciate the donation as always. Again, there's my Twitter. You guys can follow me there, and also put my Instagram if you guys would like to follow me there. And also, I put the PayPal in the chat as well if you guys would like to donate. Shout out to Clay Pro for the donation. And so I hear that Duality was saying that something happened on RB's channel. Um, Pete, you could let me know on text what happened as well. The Bronco Fanatic has a question for me. He says, who do you think had a bigger part of the Bulls dynasty, Phil Jackson or Scottie Pippen? I would say it's a collection, and we can't forget Jerry Krause because with Jerry Krause, he was able to build the teams together. Uh, Phil Jackson had no coaching record. Coaching, he didn't have a track record when he was in the NBA. Now he did have, I think he won a championship, elsewhere before he came into the league. This was in the mid '80s. Oh, appreciate that, man. Shout out to Clay, man. He says it's like a release drug. Tomoko says, when Jesus said that John the Baptist is the greatest among all those born of women, but the least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he, the greater the one, then the greater one, then he is a real person. Really good to know. Really nice to know. So once again, guys, getting back to that. So we got the 2001 Lakers and the 96 Bulls. Now I want to go to the 87 Lakers. He also did break the team apart, but you have to also, people also forget this. The owner, Jerry Reinsdorf, he also allowed it. So he kind of hid behind Jerry Krause, and Jerry Krause pretty much took the blame. He took the blame for that. So, and it stinks, that he did that. That he had to deal with that. And it's unfortunate that he's not longer, on earth. Um, Clay Pro says to reevaluate when the Warriors picked up KD, best team of all time. Funny thing is, I was actually going to put the 2017 Warriors. I forgot to put them in my thumbnail on the overlay, but I will mention them last because they're the last but not least team. Let's go to the 86 Celtics. You got Danny Ainge, a three-star athlete, played football in high school. He played baseball in college, played basketball, played for the Blue Jays for 3 seasons, which I did not know before he got redrafted in the NBA draft by the Boston Celtics in 1981, which is cool. Um, the 80s Lakers had the greatest big three of all time. You can make the case, man. And again, shout out to everybody again in the chat. So the 86 Celtics, this is what makes them the greatest team, arguably, of all time. Because you're talking about playoff teams against the greatest team. And the crazy thing is, the late 2001 Lakers may have had a run for their money had it not been for the fact that they had injuries and kind of coasted through the season. It's crazy. All right, so now let's go to the 87, 85, 86 Boston Celtics. So we're going to click here. So let's take a look at the 86 Celtics. Eighth in the league in points per game. Wow, they were eighth in the league. Third in opponents' points per game. Third best offensive rating. Number one defensive rating in the league. Crazy, right? Crazy. And again, special team, fourth in the league in attendance. They beat the Bulls. They won 30 games. The Atlanta Hawks, I believe, was a 50-win team. They beat the Milwaukee Bucks that won 57 games, and then they beat the Houston Rockets, who had won the league. So they beat three 50-win teams, and their series went 3-0, 4-1, 4-0 with the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. That was against a good Bucks team. They won 57 games, and the Houston Rockets. So they beat three 50-win teams in the playoffs. The Chicago Bulls beat two 60-win teams. The Lakers beat four 50-win teams. And the Celtics actually finished their postseason record at 15-3, which puts them. They won 67 games. They went 40-1 at the Boston Garden. You're talking about five Hall of Famers: Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, Larry Bird, Dennis Johnson, and you got Bill Walton coming off your bench. How about that? To be able to revitalize, his career. They went 15-3. So you add that to the 67-15. They finished the season 82-18. That gives them a win percentage of 82%, which is obviously one of the best in NBA history. And you're talking about Larry Bird, who won his third straight MVP award. He won the three-point shootout. So that was his first of three consecutive three-point shootout titles. It was his third consecutive MVP. Made first team All NBA, I believe, as well. And he won Finals MVP in '86. So special year for Larry Bird. Special year for the Boston Celtics. 82-18, 82% win percentage, among one of the best in NBA history. 15-3 postseason. Now we go to the 86-87 Lakers. Greatest playoff teams to ever do it, right? And Troy says, okay, it's true. I had a thought that the behemoth and the Leviathan in the Holy Bible reminds me of King Kong and Godzilla in fiction. Okay, Kareem Magic and James Worthy. Right. I'm getting to them next. Don't forget Michael Thompson, Michael Cooper, Byron Scott. Stack team. Shout out to Troy. He says people don't understand it's a difference between great teams and a great team with talent. Lakers versus Pistons is a great example, and I'm thinking he's talking about probably the 88 and 89, playoffs. Because when you look at the Lakers, they're more talent, a great team with talent, and then you have obviously great teams. And the Detroit Pistons, oh, that's another team I didn't put on there. Funny. They won 63 games, and then they went 15-2 in the postseason. So that puts them at 78-21. Okay, puts them at 78-21. I'm gonna take a look at. It's funny that the Pistons don't get mentioned enough as greatest teams of all time, but that '89 team can play with the best of them. That was a very deep roster in its own right. Mark Aguirre. You obviously got Bill Laimbeer. You got Vinny the Microwave Johnson. You got the great two guards of Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars. It's crazy. Smash it like it. That's described. But Troy, you make a good point, bro. Yeah, but that wasn't the big three. I agree. I'm just talking about how stacked they were. No, Lewis, he's talking about the '04 Lakers and Pistons. Oh, I see. I see. Got you. Actually, that's true. That's true. That's true. Because the Lakers were more talented than Detroit, but Detroit had the better team, despite the fact that they had what prime Kobe, prime Shaq, and sometimes great teams can beat great teams with talent, which is true. But this And sure, you make a lot of sense, and you're absolutely right. But in this case, these are the teams that people have regarded as arguably greatest teams of all time. So getting back to it, the 86-87 Lakers. Let's go to them next, and gonna go to the 86-87 season, and let's go to the Lakers. So if you look at the Los Angeles Lakers, they also went 15-3 in the postseason. They won 65 games. They won 65 games. That was led by MVP Magic Johnson, who won his first regular season MVP. The Lakers, they were second in the league in points per game. They were 12th in opponents' points. Got to remember pace. Their point differential was damn near 9. It was 9.3. They averaged nearly 118 points per game. They were 12th in opponents' points, so that's it's okay. They were projected to win 62 wins. They were first in the league in offensive rating, but they were seventh in defensive rating. So it tells you that they were actually a pretty solid defense. In the postseason, they beat the Nuggets. They beat the Warriors. Let me check the Nuggets record real quick. 37-45. Okay, not that impressive. Golden State Warriors 4-1. 42-40. George Karl. But they were super stacked. Seattle Supersonics 39-40. Wow, the 87 Sonics went to the Western Conference Finals with a 39 win record. So that means that the only real competition that the Lakers really faced was the Boston Celtics, who won 59 games in the 86-87 season. Wow. The Lakers faced two teams under 500, and the Warriors only won 42 games in the 86-87 season. Wow. The Lakers finished 15-3 as well. And so that puts them at their record at 78-20, which would be 78%. Okay. Wait, 78-20? Oh, actually, that would put them at about 79% because, yeah, that would just put them at about just a little over 78%. And Detroit was kind of the same, but they went 15-2. Wow. Let me look at the 89 Pistons before I go to the 83 Sixers because I know that 83 Sixers team is among the best. Well, before that, let me just go to the roster. Smash the like it, that subscribe. And he's talking about the Heat and the Mavericks. Very true. You're right. You're right. Well, it's your personal opinion. That 87 those playoffs for the 87 Lakers had a cakewalk. That's true. Man, they faced two teams under 500. Wow. The 86 Celtics faced 350 win teams after the Bulls. That's very interesting. All right, before I get to, and I actually want to talk about the 89 Pistons, and then I want to talk about the 2017 Golden State Warriors. But now let's get to the 82. Well, before that, I said I was going to go to the 86-87 Lakers. Let's look at that stacked roster. We got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Adrian Branch, Frank Brickowski. Wait, Frank Brickowski? This dude was on the 96 Sonics. Yeah, he was on the 96 team. I didn't know he was on the 87 Lakers, so he has a championship. Ah, wow. Okay, so you got Michael Cooper, AC Green, Magic Johnson, Wes Matthews, father of Wesley Matthews. You have Kurt Rambis, Byron Scott, Mike Shrimrek, Billy Thompson, Michael Thompson, James Worthy, Michael Thompson, Byron Scott, Magic Johnson, AC Green, Michael Cooper, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That's enough said right there. Enough said. The Lakers, and then let's go to the 1983 Philadelphia 76ers. Let's go to that team. Wow. Okay, let's go to the 82-83 team. So let's go to Philadelphia. They won 65 games themselves, and they went 12-1 in the playoffs, which would put them at 77-18. Now, if we do the win percentage correct, ladies and gentlemen, that should put us at, let's see, that would put them at 81%. Now, the Lakers, are at 79%. Let me look at the Detroit Pistons of, yeah. All right, so the Sixers, they won 81% of their games total that entire year. You got, let's look at the Hall of Fame crew. We got Maurice Cheeks. We got Julius Irving, Mark Ivoroni, who became a future coach in the league. I remember he coached the Grizzlies. Clement Johnson, Franklin Edwards, Earl Cureton, Reggie Johnson, Bobby Jones, Moses Malone, Mark McNamara, Clint Richardson, Rushoini, I think that's how you pronounce his name, and then you have Andrew Toney, and then obviously you got the Doctor, Dr. J. Just a nice Hall of Fame crew. Moses, Hall of Famer. Bobby Jones, Hall of Famer. Maurice Cheeks, I believe he's in the Hall of Fame, and if he hasn't been, he needs to be in the Hall of Fame. And then you got Dr. J. And Andrew Toney was one of the more underrated small forwards of his time. Unfortunately, he had a lot of injuries. His career was cut short due to injuries, but they dominated. This was when it was three divisions, three rounds. They had the Knicks in the semifinals. There was no division series, or at least quarterfinals. So there was no first round until 1984. Uh, Eastern Conference Finals. They beat the Bucks, 4-1, and then they sweep the Lakers, 4-0. James Worthy, I know, didn't play in that series due to he had an injury, but they went 12-1. Right? Smash the like and hit the subscribe button. And let me just check the chat. It's kind of sad that we don't get to hear Louis do a commentary on a live game. It stinks, Tomoko. It's just the fact that there's no basketball going on right now, so it's kind of difficult. I mean, like I said, I'll be doing watch parties and stuff like that for the future throwback and stuff like that, like in the near future. But basketball is coming back. We just have to wait. Yeah, we just have to wait over a month, so it's gonna be a minute before things kind of get back to normal. So it's gonna be a minute. But trust me, one, once the basketball comes back, I'll be back with my man D, the Godfather Jefferson. So you already know we're gonna be up in there giving you the playoff content. It's gonna be fire. I can't wait to do that. It's gonna be great, and all of you guys are invited, of course. So let me just ask, but no doubt. Okay, Bronco says I would go with LeBron because he's a better passer. He led the Cavs team in 2018 to the finals, which Kobe can't do. LeBron is a better scorer, and he went to 8 straight finals. All right, nothing wrong with that. There's context to that, but if I get into that argument, trust me, it's a pretty good reason. Imagine if Kobe played with all the talent that LBJ or even Magic Johnson. Well, you're gonna get some people mad, Tyree, because some people will say Kobe played with some pretty good talent in his career, and then they'll say that he had a lot of help. But don't take that from me. Kobe would have probably gotten 6 or more rings. Okay. Steve Nash versus Manny Pacquiao in a basketball game. Oh, that's easy. That's Steve Nash all the way. I know Manny played basketball, but I haven't really seen his game to really kind of judge. I would just go with Steve Nash for now. Again, shout out to Tomoko. What if Hakeem, Clyde, and Michael were all on the same team? It almost happened. Yeah, it would be over for the league because you have the best post player and you have two athletic wings. That's a dream. Now, I wonder who's going to get the shots in terms of Clyde, Hakeem, and Jordan. I just wonder who you're going to run your offense through. So that's something that you have to consider. But I will say the one thing that you can say about all three of them is that they're coachable. They're all coachable. The season before in Houston and that 83 season, Moses was one of the most dominant players. Dude, yeah. I believe he's a three-time MVP, and I believe he won back-to-back MVPs in 82 and 83. So it just lets you know how dominant Moses Malone was. Great rebounder, uh, just dominate. He was one of the best offensive rebounders in NBA history as well. Very underrated, doesn't get enough credit for how great of a player he was. And Troy says Hakeem is the GOAT center. Well, I don't think he's the GOAT center, but he's definitely a top. He's definitely top five. Bro, I've never seen anybody like Hakeem though. When it comes to pound for pound skill, never seen a guy like Hakeem. Kareem is the best center. I mean, I actually have Kareem. It's funny because then if we look at the greatest centers, I would have to really figure out how to put these guys in like certain categories. But I honestly think that even I would have Kareem as the greatest center of all time. Smash the like, hit the subscribe button, man, for the Louis Sports Network, talking greatest teams of all time. If Scotty didn't have a migraine in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Bulls would have won the chip probably. I think so too. That's a good point. I agree with you, Tomoko. He definitely has overachieved when you look at his life. When you look at his life, he really overachieved, which gives me more credit, man. If Scotty didn't have it, yeah. And Bronco Fanatic also says Hakeem is the greatest shot blocker. I know he's number one all time in blocks. This guy wasn't even a 7 footer. Scotty is top 25 all time. I don't know about top 25. I think that's a little bit high for Scotty, and that's with all due respect, because Scotty is a great player. But I don't know if Scotty's the top 25. But I mean, it's arguable, man. I mean, if you have Scotty in your top 25, it's all good with me, man. It doesn't matter because again, at the end of the day, it's about who you want, you know. And if you give Hakeem players Kareem had, Hakeem would be the greatest. I would have to agree with that just because of the fact that Hakeem was able to win two championships with probably the least amount of talent that any great player has had in NBA history. Now, I know he did get Clyde Drexler in 95, or else he wouldn't have won a second NBA title. But that 94 run that Hakeem had is among the best. And then you look at the 95 team that won less games than that, and they beat the gauntlet. So when you look at the amount of teams that Hakeem beat, you know, that his Rockets beat, I mean, you're looking at what? 56 win Suns team, a 53 win Jazz team, a 57 win Knicks team, a 60 win Jazz team, 59 win Suns team, 62 win Spurs team, and then a 57 win Magic team. Think about that. 7 out of their 8 playoff opponents in back-to-back years, with the exception of the Portland Trailblazers, because they were, I believe, a 40-something win team in '94. The Rockets, they faced 750 win teams in 2 years. They faced 750 win teams in 2 years, and they won 7 out of 8, which will put them at. They beat 80. They went 7-1. They beat 87% of the best teams, in the NBA. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Scotty and Michael is the greatest duo ever. No debate. Hakeem is the greatest scorer at center, not the greatest center, but greatest scorer at center. I would say he's the most skilled center in NBA history, arguably. Why is it that the big man dominates the top 10 when they are the most dependent on the court and closest to the rim? It's a very good question. It is much more harder for guards to dominate while having the ball the majority of the time. You know what? That leads me to a future video. That leads me to a future video, Tyree. You just gave me a great idea. And if you would like to be part of the panel, you are more than welcome to come on. LeBron will be the first on the all-time scoring list by the end of his career. I mean, he has a chance, Bronco, but he definitely has to be healthy, to be able to play that long. He's been pretty durable, but we gotta see, you know, hopefully his body doesn't break down, and if his body doesn't break down, he'll pretty much, he's gonna get there. So, and I think it's a personal goal on LeBron's that he wants to be the all-time greatest scorer of all time. But for any player, not just LeBron, for Kareem, for anybody, like once you get into your end years, those stats are cumulative. Like once you get to the end of the career, and that's for any great player that has played, that can play or has played as long as guys like Kareem and LeBron have. Shouldn't we have a dominant guard over a dominant big because of the difficulty level? Like I said, this you just gave me an idea, Tyree. It's gonna be a future video. Who would be your all-time starting five? Oh, without question. Okay, at the point guard position, Magic Johnson. Shooting guard, Michael Jordan. Small forward, Larry Bird. Power forward, Tim Duncan. Center, Hakeem Olajuwon. That team would dominate. Easy. You're talking about a defensive player of the year in Hakeem Olajuwon, a 15-time first team, all NBA defender in Tim Duncan, the most in NBA history. Larry Bird, 3 second team All NBA defense, and just a killer on the court. Michael, 9 defensive first team selections, most ever by a two guard. And then you got Magic Johnson, arguably pretty much the greatest point guard in NBA history. Like Skip Bayless like to say, I cannot lose in these shoes. I cannot lose with that starting lineup. Yeah, Hakeem won the championship with all role players. You might as well say they shared the crown, right? Yeah, Tyree, that was a great idea. Great suggestion, man. Clay Pro says the only thing that differentiated Kareem versus Hakeem was the fact that Hakeem had more handles and a better jump shot than Kareem. Hakeem was arguably the most skilled and most versatile big man of all time. Facts. What if LeBron and D Wade joined the Chicago Bulls in 2011? Woo, man. Then look at it this way. How about the fact that I think, you know what? I know that people would give LeBron like a lot of flack and probably, would be hating on him because, he went to Chicago and he didn't, build Cleveland into a dynasty, even though the Cleveland fans did appreciate that LeBron got them one championship. But I think LeBron would actually be look pretty different if he was able to continue the lineage of championships with Chicago that Michael Jordan had. But then I wonder how that D Rose situation would be. Like, would LeBron follow Rose's lead as the point guard, or would LeBron want to play, and dominate the basketball? We got to see how those scenarios play out, though. But I would say this: if LeBron and Dwayne Wade were on that team, Derrick Rose doesn't get injured. Derrick Rose wouldn't have to do so much. He wouldn't have to do so much. You put LeBron and D Wade, the two best wings in the NBA, they don't got to do much. Tyree says, Lewis, MJ's defensive selection is not the most by a two guard, it's Kobe. No, Tyree, you didn't listen to what I said. MJ and Kobe both have 9 first team. Kobe has more overall defensive selections. I said first team All NBA defense. It's tied for the most, but he was the first to do that. Kobe ended up tying him with 9. But MJ was the first to have 9 defensive team selections. Him and Kobe exactly have 9 first team. Overall, Kobe has more. Kobe has 3 second team defensive selections and 9 first team. I'm surprised the NBA never made a first team. And shout out to Anthony L in the building. Patrick Ewing's career was ruined by Jordan. I would say for the most part, because remember in '94 he had an opportunity to be Hakeem, and the Knicks choked that series. All right, shout out to Anthony L. Like I said, if the Cavs were healthy in 2015, do you think they would have won the chip? Yep. A healthy Bron, a healthy Kyrie, and healthy Kevin Love. I picked. The funny thing is, I picked the Cavs to win. I didn't pick the Warriors to win that 2015 title. I picked the Cavs because I thought that LeBron, uh, would single-handedly give the Warriors problems, even though the Warriors, were the best regular season team. I just felt like because of the inexperience, I thought that LeBron would be able to win, but it was not enough. And that was the Warriors for most of those players, their first time in that stage. Yeah, that's true, Bronco. David Robinson couldn't get a ring until Tim Duncan got there. That's true. That's true. I know Tim has played on great teams, but it shows you Tim Duncan's impact. David Robinson didn't have to carry the load. Tim Duncan was the better overall player at that point because David Robinson can score with the best of them when he's healthy and on both ends of the floor. I just wanted to say real quick, I was proud to have the opportunity to march. Really? Congratulations, man. That's what's up. All right, Anthony. He got to march with Russell Westbrook and DeMar DeRozan out there. Wow. In Compton. Salute to you, Anthony L, man. Hope it went well. Hope it went peaceful. And shout out to you, man. That's a real good brother right there, Anthony L. What if Tim Duncan? That's Doc Rivers' fault. Bronco. That was Doc Rivers' fault. He didn't even let Tim Duncan and the family meet with him. He just canceled that. So that's on Doc Rivers. T Mac found out. He found out on the network. That's crazy. Put LBJ and Wade with D Rose, he would have turned into Ty Lawson. Wow. Does Kyrie have the greatest handles of all time? It's arguable. I would say the only other person that could pretty match him in terms of handles would be Isaiah Thomas, even though that they're different, even though it's a little bit different. You should have recorded it, man, and uploaded your channel. Who's the greatest coach of all time, Pop or Phil? I say Pat Riley is the greatest coach of all time. That's what's up, Anthony. Glad you recorded it. Who knows what would have happened? I mean, he did. That is true, Ron. I do have to give Patrick Ewing props in that he was able to keep the team competitive as long as he could. It was beautiful, all peaceful. All right, cool, nice. That's what's up. So where was I? Oh, so we talked about Detroit. Now let's get to the 2017 Golden State Warriors. I say Pat Riley. Here's why. Before I get to the 2017 Golden State Warriors, the reason that I say Pat Riley is because Pat Riley. Now people always talk about, well, he had a stacked Lakers team and won 4 championships. So he was never going to be able to be that good of a coach if he was to coach another team. Well, look what he did when he coached the Knicks. In just 3 short years, the Knicks went to the NBA Finals. And check this out. They didn't win a championship, but the Knicks were a defensive team, Bronco. So he went from an offensive juggernaut in the Lakers and he adjusted to the players he had on the Knicks. And they went to the NBA Finals in just 3 short years. And he was coach of the year in 1993. So that just lets you know that Pat Riley was a really good coach. Then what did he do? Then what did he do? He took his coaching talents to South Beach in Miami, and then what did Pat Riley do with Alonzo Mourning and Tim Hardaway? In just 2 years at the helm as head coach of the Miami Heat got to the Eastern Conference Finals, and this is a team that was an expansion team, and this was only their 8th year in existence. And the Miami Heat were in the Eastern Conference Finals before their 10th season as a franchise. And that was a very deep team that the Heat had with Jamal Mashburn, with Tim Hardaway, with Rashawn Leonard, P.J. Brown, Dan Marley, Alonzo Mourning. That was the number 2 defensive team in the league. So Pat Riley adjusted. That's what makes him a great coach. And then taking over for Stan Van Gundy in 2006, with the cast of characters that they had, he led the Miami Heat to their first ever NBA championship in 2006. And you said you have a YouTube channel? Okay, I'll make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you guys can, man, show Bronco Fanatic love, man, and go subscribe to his channel. Show him some love and make sure to go subscribe. All right, man. He says he's got to go. Have a good night. Take care, Bronco Fanatic. Peace out. Make sure to let others know about the channel, and make sure to share this on your social media outlets, man. And make sure y'all share this on Reddit. Appreciate that. Not many coaches can change their style and be successful. That's what Riley was able to do, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I think that for me, Pat Riley is the greatest coach of all time because he was able to adjust his coaching style to the players he had. And that was my question with Pat Riley. If you look at Phil Jackson, he's been running the same offensive system his entire career. And people are saying Phil is the greatest coach of all time. No, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Shaq, and Kobe made Phil Jackson the greatest coach of all time. And I'm not saying Phil is not a great coach, but the problem is if you look at Phil's coaching career, he's never really had to adjust his coaching style. The only time that he really did a very, very good job for me in his coaching career was in the second half of Kobe's career because the Lakers really started from the bottom, then they got to the top. 3 straight finals, Kobe MVP in 2008, and then the Lakers win 2 championships back to back. To me, that was Phil's best work. To me, that was Phil's best work. From 2006 to 2010, that was Phil Jackson's best work. Me personally, I don't think that the team, and also I have to give him credit in '94. For what he was able to do. When they lost Michael Jordan, when a lot of people thought that the Bulls weren't going to be anything, and Scottie Pippen was able to lead them despite missing 10 games in the '93-'94 season. So I give Phil Jackson a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, but they still had Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen knows the offense. They ran it. So that's why I say that. And that's what people need to notice, man. And that's why I said that I agree with Ron. It's true. Not many coaches can do that. Butter is actually a good ingredient to add to meat when you're frying it because it adds flavor to the meat and refines the meat itself. Good to know. Y'all notice that Phil has never coached a rebuilding team without a superstar? Did y'all notice that? And for some reason, Phil gets all this credit. And like I said, I'm going to say this again. It's not that I'm not saying that Phil's not a good coach, but look at Phil's coaching resume. This is why I give Pat Riley more props because if Pat Riley has coached 3 different centers that are in the Hall of Fame. Alonzo Mourning, Patrick Ewing, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The Lakers were the only team that were more stacked than the Knicks and the Heat. The Knicks and the Heat were defensive teams. The Lakers, they can play defense, but they were more of an offensive juggernaut. They were more of an offensive juggernaut, were the Los Angeles Lakers. That he helped coach the 4 championships. And he had the talent. The man had 2 top 10 players in NBA history for 4 championships. Then you add James Worthy. Like, so this is why I said that when it comes to the greatest coach of all time, I don't think it's Phil Jackson. And you look at Red Auerbach. Don't get me wrong, he's another great coach. But look at the Hall of Famers he got to coach. And yes, I give him credit for being in the front office and being able to bring a lot of players. It shows you that Red is very intelligent when it comes to scouting talent. I can't say the same about Phil Jackson. I have to, I'll try to upload tonight if I can. Some people forget how good Alonzo Mourning was. I'm gonna do a future video on Alonzo Mourning. That dude deserves his respect. He was a great player. It's unfortunate that his injuries had to cut him short into kind of becoming more of a role center. Uh, I was happy that he was able to get a championship to end his career because he truly deserved it. He was on the back end of a lot of playoff disappointments, but he was pretty good in his time. He was among the best centers of the NBA of his time period. Was Alonzo Mourning. Okay, let me get to the last team before I end the stream, and this one is going to be on the 2016-2017 Golden State Warriors. This team added KD. They won 73 games the previous year. They end up winning 67 games that season, which was, I believe, it was the best record in the NBA that year in 2017. But you could also say that I know the Spurs won 61 games that year, and the funny thing is, the year before they won 67 games. Crazy, right? In Tim Duncan's last year, they end up going 16-1, 16-1 in the postseason. They actually won their first 15 playoff games, so they started 15-0. I don't know if the Warriors had a win streak that season to end the season. I know they had a 12-game win streak at one point when Kevin Durant was out with an injury. Let me just see. Let me just go to the 2016-2017 season. Trying to see something. No, let me just go to 2016-2017. Trying to smash the like, hit the subscribe for the Lewis Sports Network. Here we go. Let's go. Okay, if we go to the 2016-2017 NBA season with the Golden State Warriors, 67-15, right? They led the league in scoring, 115 points per game, point 0.9, first in the league. They were 11th in opponents' points, so their defense did kind of start to slip up a little bit. But they were also trying to get acclimated because they got a little bit off to a slow start. But they were 11th, which is okay. That's not bad. They were fourth in the league in pace, so they were expected to win 67 wins anyway. They were first in the league in offensive rating, and they were second in the league in defensive rating. You look at their roster. They swept the Blazers, no Nurkic. They swept the Jazz. I believe there was no Hayward, and I forgot who else was injured. Uh, Correct me if I'm wrong, people in the chat from Utah. I know somebody was hurt for the Jazz. San Antonio, we know Zaza Pachulia shot with Kawhi Leonard. And then they got the Cavaliers in 5 games. So they finished 16-1. They started 15-0. Had the most dominant playoff run ever. But I would argue people had complained about the fact that the Warriors didn't play anybody. But for some reason, they always get boosted up with their 16-1 playoff record. Not disrespecting the Warriors, but I'm just saying what people try to spin with their narratives. You know, because one minute they'll say that they didn't play anybody difficult, and then they'll say they're the greatest team of all time because they won 16-1. So, you know, they just kind of play two sides of the coin when it comes to Golden State. And Tomoko says people say basketball has its name because the net hanging from the ring reminds them of basket weave. Actually, I don't know anybody who says this. I just thought that could be the case. It does look like a basket weave though, so that's a really good point. That's a really good point, Tomoko. So really good point. So yeah, now that I gotta ask you the question, guys, and they went 16-1 from the competition. Who do you personally think is the greatest playoff team, and then who is the greatest team of all time? Let me know in the comment section. Who's the greatest playoff team? Who, in your personal opinion, played the toughest competition? Now, when you look at the 2017 Golden State Warriors, the Blazers, they won 41 games. When you look at the Jazz, they won 51 games. Okay, so the Warriors faced 350-win teams because the Spurs won 61 games and the Cavaliers won 51 games. So the Warriors played 350-win teams. The Lakers played 450-win teams. The Bulls played 350-win teams. No, they played 260-win teams. So that would be 250-win teams. The Boston Celtics played 350-win teams. The Lakers they only played one. And then you have the 82-83 Sixers. They played 350-win teams. So in your personal opinion, out of all those teams, G Money says he thinks that the 2001 Lakers are the greatest playoff team ever. Tyree says the 96 Bulls for both greatest playoff team and greatest team of all time. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Now combining the competition, who is the greatest playoff team and greatest team of all time? Tyree has got the 96 Bulls for both. G Money says the 2017 Warriors were great, but they did play banged up teams in the playoffs, especially when the Spurs lost Kawhi and Parker were hurt. I remember that the 2017 Golden State Warriors were getting comparisons to the 2001 Lakers for their playoff record. And remember that the 2016 Warriors were compared to the 96 Bulls for their regular season record. Funny, the Warriors get compared to the 96 Bulls for their regular season record, but then, hey, shout out to Jeff Noel. Hope everything is good with you, man. He says the 2020 Pelicans. Wait, do you have them winning the NBA title? Ain't nothing wrong with that. Shout out to Jeff Noel. The 96 Bulls are the greatest team ever because they got it done when they won the chip after winning 72 games. You have the Bulls with the best win percentage. That 2001 Lakers team I have ranked fifth all time. Okay. Anthony L says, I would say the 2001 Lakers too, but the 96 Bulls is up there as well. Okay. I might have to make a top 10 greatest teams of all time. I don't know if I did that video. I know I did greatest teams to never win an NBA championship. But I think when we look at the competition, the Lakers the Lakers played more 50-win teams than any of the teams that I mentioned. And I believe the Bulls played more 60-win teams than any team has ever played. Because if you look at the Magic and the Sonics, the Magic were loaded, they were talented, and then the Sonics won 64. But Tyree also says that he thinks that the '01 Lakers would beat the Sonics, which is cool because you have Prime Shaq and then you got Prime Kobe. If you get them in playoff mode, that's crazy. I think it was called basketball because they originally nailed the peach basket to a wall, thus they named it. Yeah, I understand that KD makes the Warriors better, but they are not unbeatable. I know they didn't lose a series when they were healthy, but they have been tested in the playoffs like every other team. Okay. I think you're right, Ron. It was basketball was invented in Canada where I live, so I think that's accurate. Yes, basketball was invented in Canada and it was invented by a Canadian by a fellow named Dr. James Naismith in 1891, which a lot of people like to talk about. All right. Okay, so looks like we got people saying 2001 Lakers against the 96 Bulls. Might have to do, I'm definitely going to have some future videos. I think the next video I'm going to do in terms of basketball was Tyree's idea. And that's the idea of why are centers more regarded as top 10 players compared to guards or wings for that matter. So that should be very interesting. That's, I think, an interesting video. And I would definitely have a panel for that one. And I will let you guys know tomorrow. And I think I pretty much have everybody's email. So I will be sending a select few. And definitely you guys can come in and then you can chat. But sounds great. Um, but that sounds like a really good video to do. So in my personal opinion, this is very tough for me just because I would have to put, because the 86 can be guarded as the greatest team of all time. The 87 team could. But it's crazy that they faced two teams under 500 and a 42 win Golden State Warriors team. Man, that's crazy. So it's looking a little different for the Lakers, and the Lakers were very stacked, just like Boston. But Boston faced actually some tougher competition because it lets you know how the Eastern Conference was in the 80s. Boston played 350 win teams for an 86 win Celtics team. The only weak team that they really played was the Chicago Bulls. The 2017 Warriors are so overrated. People are forgetting they went 7 games with Houston without CP3. That Warriors team was beatable. Dr. James Naismith was Canadian, but the game was invented in Springfield, Massachusetts. Oh, okay. Well, it makes sense where the Hall of Fame is at because baseball was invented in Cooperstown and football is from Ohio. But that's all it was. That's why I said that. I mean, yep. All right, but we're not going to get into that discussion no more. But yes, because the modern day generation will tell you that the 2017 Golden State Warriors are arguably the greatest team of all time. Again, I'm not going to hate them on that. You know, if that's how they feel, that's how they feel. Their opinion at the end of the day. The Warriors are a great team. Like I said, don't get me wrong. Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, two of the top 5 players, you know, on the same team. So understandable. You got the sharpshooter and Klay Thompson, good defensive player in Draymond Green. So their bench wasn't as strong. So I know that they had to incorporate lineups because that's what Steve Kerr had to pretty much do that whole 2017 season. Master Yoda said, long pen is. And G Money says that KD almost lost to the AC to Clippers last year. I'm going to be honest with that. They were really toying with the Clippers and it almost burned them. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to be back. Make sure to hit the like. Make sure to hit the subscribe. Once again, this is the Louis Sports Network. I'm going to keep this one a little bit short. I'm going to come back with another video, with a couple of videos tomorrow. Make sure you guys are hitting that like, hit that subscribe. And Tyree's idea just got me the influence for this video. I appreciate that, Jeff. Appreciate that. And again, guys, so I'm going to call it a night. Make sure you guys are continuing to hit the subscribe channel. Make sure you guys are continuing to share this on your social media and on Reddit. Again, you guys can follow me on Twitter, You guys can follow me on Instagram. And also, there is the Cash App again. If you would like to donate, you don't have to. And there is also the PayPal if you guys would like to donate to the PayPal. And again, shout out to Clay Pro for the donation. Appreciate that. And appreciate you, Jeff, for calling me the GOAT. You guys are the GOATs. All of you guys. You guys have helped me push this channel to where it's at today. Um, so I hope this continues conversations when it comes to the basketball world. For people out there, if you're a fan of the Philadelphia 76ers and you watched Dr. J growing up, do you think that they're the greatest team of all time? If you grew up a Boston Celtics fan, do you think the '86 Celtics are the greatest team of all time? If you are a Chicago's Bull fan, and I know many Bulls fans feel this way, well, before I get to the Bulls, if you grew up a Lakers fan and you love Magic Johnson, watched him growing up in the '80s, do you think that the '87 Lakers are the greatest team of all time? Do you think that the '96 Bulls, for those who grew up in Chicago and Chicago Bulls fans everywhere that saw Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman play, do you think that they're the greatest team of all time in 1996? Or, ladies and gentlemen, if you are fans of Shaq and Kobe and you were a Lakers fans during the Shaq and Kobe era, do you think the 2001 Los Angeles Lakers are the greatest team of all time? Or, if you're in the KD and Steph era, do you think that the 2017 Warriors is the greatest team that ever lived, the greatest team of all time? And an honorable mention to the Detroit Pistons, who don't get the respect that they deserve. I know the things that I've said about Isaiah and all that, but again, out of respect, Isaiah, most impactful little man to ever play the game, in my personal opinion. All-time great is Zeke. Impactful, intelligent, great basketball player was Isaiah Thomas, and those Detroit Pistons, that they don't get enough credit for how great that '89 team was. 15-2 in the postseason, 63 win team, best record in the NBA. So Detroit Pistons gets an honorable mention, and I know that they're not considered one of the greatest teams, but they definitely should be. So I'm giving them an honorable mention. Shout out to all fans in Detroit, and I'm gonna ask you Detroit fans, do you think that the '89 Pistons are the greatest team of all time? But once again, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a good one. I appreciate that, Anthony L. I'll continue to bring the great content. And G Money says the 2013 Heat would beat the 2017 Warriors because they have more depth in defense. Okay. Ron Cowan says, I'll check you later. All right, man. Be good, Ron. And shout out to Joel, who says, great video. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, again, this has been another one. Like, subscribe, continue to share the videos. You already know how we do on the Louis Sports Network, and continue to spread news about the channel. As always, what's up? Live, laugh, love. Thank y'all for watching. Have a wonderful night, everybody. And I will see you back on tomorrow. I'll be back on the grind. And tomorrow's video, I will be emailing people for a chance to be on the stream. Let me know if you want to be on the stream tomorrow when I put up the video, the preview. And make sure you guys are smashing the likes. And make sure to check out my other videos as well. And again, let everybody know about the channel. So again, have a wonderful night, everybody. Bless up. Live, laugh, love. Have a good night, everybody. See you guys tomorrow, man. Appreciate it. G Money, take care.